Hello, spooky friends. This is Grant. Christy left me in charge of her computer, so I'm sorry if I totally make a shambles of this, but she's busy doing other things. What we're working on here is a bobbing skeleton. We wanted a skeleton. Oh, who's that cute girl in the background? We wanted a skeleton to bob for pumpkins in our haunt, so we had to come up with something. And we took one of our old broken skeletons. This one had a busted neck and some other issues, so we figured it would be a good patient to use. We had to disassemble it, put it up on the welding table, and do a little surgery. These are very fragile plastic skeletons, so we had to reinforce them. I took apart all his bone structure and got into his spine, and wound up reinforcing the lower spine with a 3/8 metal rod and a washer here, and tied into the skeleton's little structural components where it actually would screw together, so it kind of would look like a skeleton without a whole bunch of work. And then once we had all that in there, wound up using some spray foam to try to give it a little bit more structure, a little more strength. And it worked out pretty good. As you see here, I did a little extra using a threaded rod and welded that into the tailbone rod because my thought was this could actually be a skeleton again. I didn't want to totally disassemble this and make it a whole new creature. I wanted it just to be a skeleton that attached to a machine and did its bobbing. So using these rods, I wound up reinforcing the whole thing and making it strong, and built the mechanism off of that. Here you see I used some pipe to make races, and I used bearings inside of those races so that there'd be less friction when the machine moves. And it worked out pretty good. A couple little design issues. Obviously welding next to plastic and foam is not a good thing, so luckily I had water nearby and put out a little fire, but you wouldn't notice that in the finished product. But we definitely have a little fun doing this. Couple little issues, but as you'll see, it turned out pretty good. So these things, there's just too much friction with the arms. So all that friction we kind of solved by just doing a little bit more surgery. Took apart all the joints. We wound up sanding the ball joints and the sockets, and actually just unscrewing the two pieces made the joint itself a little bit bigger, so the arm was free to move in that socket, if that makes sense. But a little bit of silicone lubricant in there and his arms moved freely. Also worked on the elbows and cleaned that up a little bit just to make it so things moved and didn't get bound up. But you can see he's working pretty good. He's welding and trying to make things work better. I wound up tacking things together, and then once they were all in the right place and we liked it, we wound up welding it in.
Why is that funny? You like? Come on, dude.
Hi. What you doing?
Trying to be sneaky to get you welding.
Sneaky. Found the best steaks in the world for Halloween haunt stuff.
And they are?
They're not even steaks. Line screws. These things are no joke. I bought some 12-inchers and used those on the ramp. They work really well. And if I want to pull them out, I don't have to pull. Just use the tool. All right, let me go get some power and stuff.
So you staked his foot down so they don't move.
Yeah, stay his foot just so it stays out of the way of his pelvis, because this thing gets in there and then his. Bob it.
Okay.
Bob is bobbing.
Bob is bobbing. I think we need to do some neck surgery though.
I did neck surgery. I fused his C4 and C5 with baling wire.
When you walk in front, like the way it's gonna be, like if you can tilt his head up more so at least we can see he has something in his mouth.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know if I can. Like that? Or does it need to be more like that? What'd you do?
I just broke his neck.
Because I had it fixed with baling wire. It was just fine until you wanted to.
I think his head needs to be like this.
That's not normal.
Well,
That looks freaky.
well, you gotta see his.
Your neck is not supposed to do that. I'm pretty sure that's a bad situation
I
right
don't
there.
think I want it like that. Obviously.
Well, it's not going to go any
But
other
when-
way because you just broke it off. Now I got to freaking tear it apart and
But when it
fix
was
what you
like
broke.
this, all I can see is this.
I get you.
I think it'd be neat to actually see at least like this, so you can see he has something in his mouth and a little of the face.
Still does not
Turn
look
Bob
natural.
on. I'm gonna hold his head.
You're not going to be able to keep up. Bob's going to go faster than you.
You're right.
Let's see. All right. Well, back to the surgery table.
Everything works except now I broke his head.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
More work for me. And it was. I tried to do a couple things. I actually took the neck and fixed it and put it back together and tried to heat it up in a toaster oven to make it pliable because I loaned out my heat gun and didn't have it. And I totally got distracted because someone wanted me to work on the porch and it melted completely. So Christy found another neck from another skeleton. She's right. Would have been awesome to have this thing looking up, but it worked out pretty good with that cool custom beanie on his head. He was bobbing for pumpkins the entire haunt and not complaining one bit. It turned out awesome. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. But this was a fun little addition to our haunt. The kids really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too.
Stay spooky,
our friends.